Mahe and I favor everybody. Nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing absent from your lives that are needed. Of course, you know who this is. This is Raven. And I have a returning guest today because I have been thoroughly enjoying the production work that this person does. I have to be forward and upfront with you all. This is actually a personal friend of mine, and I always say those things so that people don't accuse me or don't misunderstand. Um, when I have somebody who is a personal friend on my show, I always try to let you know so that you understand the connection before we ever get started. That being said, my guest today is returning, and he's returning because I have been having a blast listening to his theatrical audiobooks. It's called Bridge of Doom. You'll find it at Hearken Theatre online. And after all that, Kurt, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Raven. I really appreciate the interview. And by the way, it
Oh,
is a Bridge of Doom because there's a couple other books out there that have similar titles. You have to watch out for that.
uh-oh, he caught me. A Bridge of Dune. But let me go back to what I said. It's Harkin Theater, and we'll get to that too. Brother, I have been having some fun with this. I said, this is a good friend, Kurt, hoteling, that through exposition was able to bridge the gap between composition and my esoteric research and was very instrumental in providing a transition between sections of time. Now,
Okay.
I got him chuckling a little bit, folks. You need to understand that he is a composer, a musician student, and used to be a musician instructor. So, if you get the musician and the music references, I hope you all do. Now, Kurt, we got you on here because of your books. Actually, I got you on here because of your theatrical audiobooks that you're presenting in stage form. But we should start with the books themselves. Now, you've got how many of these in the series released already?
There are 5 books that have been released. They're available from any bookseller. The master title for the whole series, because it's all one long story, is A Bridge of Doom. But if you put my name into Amazon, you'll see all 5 books come up as well. But there
Nice.
are 5, and I've got a 6th that will be completed probably within the year.
Oh, that writing while you're working, I can sympathize. I've
Yeah,
done that for
principals would
years.
look at me. I'd show them the latest book and like, when do you have time to do this? Like, excuse me, I don't watch television. I haven't for over 30 years. That's just like you said, the idiot box.
Yeah, well, it's people don't understand how I have so much time to do the interviews and the laugh podcast and then the series that I do on my other podcast, and they don't understand. I don't waste 5, 6, 7 hours a day in front of the idiot box, the TV. So it makes it so much easier. But now, what I was talking about with you is you have been producing the whole first book as a theatrical audiobook online. So you have had an enormous amount of work to do, and you're still working on the sixth one, which I think is just amazing.
Well, keeps me off the streets. What can I say? Yeah, I actually finished the first book. It actually started it years and years ago because I hadn't published, and I was getting a little frustrated with the publishers until I finally went into the on-demand publishing, and then I
Hmm.
stopped. Like, okay, and I didn't really have up-to-date equipment for it and stuff. And then upon retiring, a lovely wife said, "You're going to do those again." It's like,
Mm.
okay, I sold everything, but picked it up and started doing the productions again. I've been a sound engineer since the 70s.
Hmm.
When I was a little, I was a teenager and discovering the wonders of cassette tape and what happens when your batteries get low and voices change and such, and then being theatrical, anyways. But once I hit the North Carolina School of the Arts as a student and discovered actual decent state of the art recording equipment, I really picked up my game.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Uh, Kurt, his production value for these theatrical audiobooks that he's released to be listened to is amazing because you got the Foley arts, you got the sound effects, you got the voice actors, folks. It's if you want to listen to I compared it to the old style radio plays from back in the days of radio, the heyday of radio, because you get that kind of performance quality. You get the sound effects. You get everything that you would expect in a performance. And it's an audio book, you all. It's really, really cool. So now you already went there. Let's go there anyway. So you finished the School of Arts and you worked for NPR for a few years. Now, a lot of folks don't understand how that works. You still with me?
What's going on here?
There you are.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, we got sunspots and busy
Oh,
time of day, so it happens.
yeah. Yeah, well, I hooked up with another graduate from the School of the Arts. He had already done. He worked in motion pictures as well, but he did his own comedy productions, and we linked up and continued from there on that. But I'm kind of lost now. What was I talking about?
Well, we were talking about you going through the School of the Arts and learning production and that the production values and stuff like that. But what I was saying is a lot of folks don't understand that you had a process that you went through, and you started working at NPR doing a show.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, we provided a series of comedies for an NPR. It started at that station that doesn't really exist anymore, WFDD out of Wake Forest University, and via them it went into NPR, and other affiliates picked up the productions. And so there was comedy stuff and science fiction stuff and even fundraiser funny stuff that went out there on NPR. And that was for about 2-3 years that our stuff was out there. And that's where that started.
Yeah.
And that was back in the days of hot mix. I didn't have all the tools I have today where I can actually load stuff into a multi-track recorder and time it and then mix it all down. It was hot mix. That was very stressful.
Folks, hot mix is like you don't have all the digital tracks. You don't have all the storage that we have today. They were having to do it as they went, and it got blended into the tracks through the recording. I would not have wanted to do Foley back in those days. No.
Yeah, it was maddening. I would have to redo tracks over and over and over to get the timing just right because everything had to be so tight. But now it's a lot easier as I've got a multi-track machine that, strangely enough, cassette tape, boys and girls, but it's at high speed. And it's 8-track, but I'm mixing a dozen tracks into it as well.
Yeah.
We
also have I was going to say we also have the advantage today where we have digital timestamps, so you can synchronize the systems so that you know where your timing's at.
Well, I don't do it that way, Raven. I straddle old and new technology.
Oh, no kidding.
No, because I've got multi-track tape, and I'll load in all of the voices and the narration. Then I'll load in the music because I like to do as much as I can wall-to-wall music underneath the scenes. And then finally, all the sound effects and Foley that gets loaded in, each one meticulously, one at a time. And then finally, the magic mix down where it all happens. But it's all, I work between audio tape and digital. In other words, I'll store everything digitally, but it gets loaded onto tape and mixed live. And that makes a total difference.
Best of both worlds.
Plus, I have a unique recording situation. Most people record on one microphone, and so you get mono. It's like that isn't real. We have 2 ears, so even when recording voices, I have 2 microphones, and you get the ambient sound around as well. Because I worked hard with what now they call surround sound. But back then, no one had a name for it. But it's like, yeah, you've got to make it sound much more real. So if you're sitting out in the forest with the characters around a campfire, you're hearing the campfire. You're hearing the forest around you, not just in the center of your head. And that's how I'm straddling both technologies. And digital, I only use it for storage and for cleanup. Nice. Everything else, sorry, it's all magnetic because tape is forever.
Well, there's a lot of folks that are doing that. If you look at the young videographers today. They have gone back to doing analog videos. They don't. They have pretty much turned their back on the free and fast digital if they're doing big productions.
Yeah, motion pictures as well. I mean, the newest Star Wars, the Mission Impossibles, and so on, where they went to film because they like how it looks. And then when it's all done on film, they transfer it to digital to do the editing and to, broadcast it to all the theaters, as it were.
Well, folks, I have to tell you, I have been thoroughly enjoying listening to these online. So I guess you could say this is a little bit of a prejudicial interview because I really enjoy them. I enjoy the presentation. I enjoy some of the sarcasm, which I wouldn't be that way ever. But speaking of sarcasm, excuse me, y'all. I have allergies have hit me big time this morning. I don't know what's up with that, but Kurt, the opening scene of the theatrical production that gets this whole thing off and running was an amazing little. I call it a sprint because it's really quick. Very enjoyable, really quick. It's a sprint to get it started. I enjoyed the way that it was introduced, but a lot of folks are going to be like, because I asked you the same thing. What's the deal with, and we'll get there, the enchanters, the time gates, and the keys. But you can start this any way that you want. But I figured we would talk about the opening act so that we can kind of give people an introduction.
Opening act starts with a prince who has been taken hostage by a warring race on this other world.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks pretty hopeless because they're getting ready to do a blood sacrifice on the battlefield because they want all their lands back that they don't want to share at all.
Mm-hmm.
And with no rescue possible, then the scene switches to a young royal messenger on horseback who's been given a chore by a master enchanter and a talisman, basically on a necklace. And she's told to go to some ancient standing stones, which he calls a gateway, to go and find a not a mythical, but a demigod out of their history to come and help. But unbeknownst, she ends up crossing over, and that's why it's called a bridge of doom. Doom being the archaic meaning of your destiny, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Your doom is to be in this job or to be a professional. Well, a bridge of doom, she crosses this bridge unknowing and ends up on the planet Earth to find this demigod who he doesn't know he's a demigod. And it goes from there, having to bring him back to the other world and realize eventually what he can do.
That's it, folks. That is what got me hooked. It was an instant jump. Excuse me, folks. This stuff is draining almost faster than I can keep control of it. But I found it so amazing that we went immediately into a jump both ways, as a matter of fact. But now, folks, we have a very interesting situation here. It's very, very old school, but it's intuitive. We've got different kinds of people that do different kinds of, for lack of a better word, we'll say magic. That's a universal, unfortunately, overused universal word. But you have broke this down in a very unique way that is very, very old school and very intuitive. So I would like folks to understand how the more adept folks within this world works.
Okay. It's just how it worked out. Let's put it this way. First off, this world does exist somewhere, and I'm not making this stuff up. I'm just writing it down as it's shown to me. But you have mages and the more advanced archmages and the rare wizards. This is all standard. And they're using the more psychic-based magical powers. And that's what everybody understands, all the way to the Merlin type stuff. Like sometimes the spell doesn't actually work too well. Well, psychic
Mm-hmm.
energy has a ebb and flow. Then you have enchanters that are working off a more spiritually based energy. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of, for instance, a mage, the popular thing even out of Dungeons and Dragons, throw a fireball, etc. An enchanter would not create something like that. They are taking energy and channeling it as opposed to
Yes.
creating it. So if you're coming at an enchanter with something negative, they reflect your energy back at you. So the more you attack them, the more you're actually attacking yourself, as an example of something on the negative side. But enchanters channel energy as opposed to create it.
Mm-hmm. So
And
very.
then there's, on the dark side, you've got the sorcerers. You have shade criers. They become more evident in book 4. They are actually using song. They sing to bring forth their sorcery. They are
Mm-hmm.
considered quite illegal and banned, and they're naughty people, of course. You always have antagonists along with a protagonist. That's just the nature of the world, as it were. Does
Well,
that
yeah,
help?
and it's well, yeah, and it's unique because the shades they use the oral, they use the vocal power, which kind of put me in mind of a lot of the folks that use chanting here in order to do positive things.
Yes,
Um,
exactly,
it's
exactly.
it's that balance, that yin and yang with the vocal, the power of your voice. Um, Now, this theatrical audiobook is just it's a concept that you don't see very many places. You and I talked about this a little bit before I started recording. Folks, I have a really good friend, Greg Wagland, over in England. He does the Sherlock Holmes books, but he is a single narrator who does the voices for every character in the book. That is one way that you'll hear audiobooks done. Kurt has taken a very unique position with this. It is a theatrical audiobook. It's very similar to the old radio shows, as I said before, and he has voice actors. Now, where did you come up with this idea at?
That came from gracious, where I even originally started. Uh, Strange enough, it goes all the way back to 1973 with the first cassette player, and I mentioned weak batteries. I was sitting there playing with some friends, doing had this model, and we'd created a space station, and we decided, what the heck, let's make a soundtrack and then play with our little ships to land on the space station. Well, I discovered we did our voices, and then the batteries are low, and I plugged it in, and suddenly the voices had changed. It's like,
Mm.
oh, this is how this is done. Even sound effects is like, I was hooked from then on. I think I was the age of 13 at the time.
Wow.
And working with professional actors through my college years and after, and it's like, why not have actors do these voices? And when we were doing the NPR productions, or productions for NPR, we had actors, professionals come in and do all the parts. And again, that was
Hmm.
like a hot mix situation. We'd record all the drama and stuff, and then I'd take it and edit it down to get the timing. So from that, I sprung board into, well, if I could, I'd like, people have always told me your books will make great movies. Like, yeah, but I wouldn't trust anybody out in Hollywood or otherwise to touch it unless there was someone like Peter Jackson with a chunk of money and a
Hmm.
lot of very good professionals. So I'll do it myself. Thank you very much, as an audiobook. And
Yeah.
as a theatrical production, I will get my actors in. I'll have my music come in, etc. What's nice is some of the music that's in there, I perform myself. Thank you very much. Or
Hmm.
I'm in the ensembles, but then put in the sound effects, the correct sound effects, not old tired stuff. You ever watch any of the old television shows, and it's always the same Hollywood thunder, repeated
Yes.
thunder, repeated. It's like, guys, there was more than one thunderstorm in California, I'm sure. So
Hmm.
that's my own firebacks. Like, if you're going to do sound, make it as deeply ornate and complex as you can, right down to handshakes. Somebody once said, these are sounds you could never do. What do you mean you can't do a handshake? I'll shake your hand on microphone. You'll hear it. You'll almost feel it. Stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep. Well, and in certain circumstances, like within these books, you got people in armor, you got people in leather, shaking hands. You're going to hear that.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know.
Very good.
So uh, people don't understand. It's real life. If you're wearing a jacket and you shake hands with somebody, your jacket makes noise.
And
Um,
one of my favorite things to do. You know, you think, oh well, there's explosions and there's lightning and there's thunder. My favorite sound effects moments is at the Royal Gala, and the king arrives, and I worked very complexity. I'm sorry, I'm losing my vocabulary here. I worked very detailed on the moment when everybody bows to the royal, and as you're listening, you can hear the ladies' dresses, the crinkle of cloth, and it's all around you. I actually recorded it Foley with a left and a center and a right and a rear. And so at that moment, if you're listening to, especially with a headset or a really good sound system, you are in the ballroom and you're hearing the cloth as everybody bows to their royal. And that is like, oh, I love that. I love that.
Well, and that's the thing that I like is the details, because I sit here and I listen to it on my stereo, and my stereo, it's digital converted to analog. So I get analog surround sound, which I pick up a lot of stuff that maybe some folks wouldn't, but I really enjoy the sound that travels through the stories. And I thought that was something that was really important to point out to folks is you're getting the story through the actors, but you're also getting the sounds as they travel through. Like a very good example was the incident in the cave with the dragon. That was pretty intense as far as the sound went.
Good. Wanted that to be intense. Actually went to an abandoned tunnel. We know it in Bryson City. You know it. The road to nowhere ends up in that tunnel that goes nowhere. But wonderful recording. I mean, there's your dragon cave right there. Walked halfway down that. What was that? About a quarter mile long, and started getting all the sound effects done. Even coming up with the sound of the dragon scales as it's uncoiling and rising up. Absolute blast getting all that to work.
Well, and I'm hoping that by conveying this to folks that they understand that this is not a normal audiobook, you folks. I really enjoy it. It is a break in all the other things that I do, and of course, my whole family sits and listens to it, so I dig it. Oh. Yeah, even the young ones will stop.
Good.
And listen. So that will tell you what kind of production is. If you can get a 8-year-old to stop and go, oh, something has caught their attention. So now your pre-production, we've kind of talked about getting the recordings of all the different places, and you have a huge Foley catalog.
Oh yes, folks, and getting bigger all the time.
Folks, those are the sound effects and the background sounds that you hear. That's your Foley catalog. Just to make sure you all know. Now, the general process that you go through, you said that you do the voice actors first, right?
Yeah, get all the parts done, but it's not like, all right, everybody get into a room and we'll do it together. I record them all separately. Like I say, I use that double mic setup, and then I have to, it's like you do with film. I'm picking out the best takes. And that's where digital comes in handy. I load them in, and then the next voice that's in the scene, load them in. Then I have to set up the cutting and timing. So it's all very tight. And so I'll have a recording from someone 20 years ago that I recorded. In fact, a dear friend who was murdered, unfortunately. But I still, he spent an evening with me recording all the lines for this character. And I still have that. And so I timed that in with something more recent. But that's the magic of it. Saves a lot of tape cutting. I used to have to do the editing by cutting tape. I want to talk about a headache. But then that all gets interlaced, as it were. Best word, interlaced in the audio. So you have all of the characters right there. Then comes in whatever music I need, and then finally the sound effects. They're walking, they're eating, they're drinking. I'm not going to tell you they mounted their horse, and it's like you hear it. I'm not going to take all that time to say, or she said, or he said. You figure it out. Just listen.
Well, that's an amazing tribute. I was not aware of that. So, folks, some of the voice acting is that's an amazing tribute, Kurt. That even got me speechless.
Sorry, I've had two friends. That one, in fact, you can look him up. He's on the internet, Arthur William Bloxham Jr. in Winston-Salem. He had become homeless and was well known because he hung around a library. and he was
Mm-hmm.
very intelligent. And it was very sad to lose him. And also another one who was a former student of mine. He had passed at a young age. So
Well,
I had their
folks,
voices, and I give a tribute at the end on the scenes where they appeared.
nice. Folks, like I said, you very rarely hear me stunned. Hey, I got to get you to record me. That way, 25, 30 years from now, people can hear me doing.
You're you're on. You're on. Just say when. We'll record you.
Folks, to let you know, so that we're not being sneaky with you, Kurt and I have already talked about this, and he has found somebody that he wants me to play. So I am going to whatever character voice he wants. I don't think Martha will work, but but anyway. So at some point in time, he and I are going to be recording my parts, and eventually you'll be hearing me in here somewhere. So
yes.
I am looking forward to it. And what was really funny is after you did that, I had somebody else invite me. They're supposed to be coming up here over Christmas break, and we're going to get my, I guess, about 100 pages of script. I'm looking so forward to.
Whoa, there's a chunk.
Yeah, I got about 100 pages of script. Now that's 100 pages of script with the other voice, the other actors written in, so that I can see what I'm doing. But so folks, Kurt's got me started. I am actually going to do some voice acting for friends. I'm not doing it professionally, and I'm looking forward to it. So
It's fun. It is fun. All of the people I've recorded, they can we come do some more? Because I'm sitting, I coach and I direct sometimes each line, each word to make it sound just right, and they have a blast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am absolutely looking forward to it. And Kurt will get the second round with me, so hopefully I'll be better at that point. Anyway,
Yeah, really.
So you have an awesome ensemble of performers, and we just talked about this being a tribute to a couple of them that have been lost over time. The voice work is very, very unique with the individuals that you hear. Um, and you said you have recorded these over a distance of time. Do you still have active people working with you too?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Some of the recordings I have go back about 20, 25 years. And then I've got some I've been recording today, as it were, in this era. I have one gal who's a neighbor, and she had the perfect voice for this particular individual. I said, "Would you be interested?" She said, "Sure." And I've been recording her for several, she'll come over before she starts a job. She works remotely, and do a bunch of lines and stuff for me. She just has a blast doing it. And that is for book 4. I've only just now started into productions for book 2, because these do take a while to put together. So we'll hear her probably about 4 or 5 years down the road, because the books are big, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, now, folks, that's the other thing that I have failed to mention, is one of the reasons why I brought Kurt back is because I wanted to let everybody who listens to us talk know that he has completed the first book and has started working on the second one.
30 episodes, 30 something episodes. I've lost count simply because it's in 3 sections, the first book. And that's over 7,000 hours of my own time putting all that together.
Wow. But the complete first book is in the theatrical audiobooks. I'll say it again, Hearken Theatre. And he is starting. Now, have you started the process on the second one?
Oh, yes. I've got 5 episodes of book 2 out there. All you have to do is go to thehearkentheatre.com, and you will be shown a link to where the sound plays actually are. And that's another word I coined myself a long time ago, sound plays. I actually registered it because that's what they are. That's what they are.
Now, folks, I have been incredibly busy, and I did not even know that the 5 episodes for the second book were out. I'm sorry.
Shame.
Well, you see how much I put out, my own stuff. But now I got more to listen to. Woohoo! So now you started on the second book, and I told you I was going to ask you this. After completing the theatrical audiobooks and doing all the Foley, all the mixing, everything that you needed to do on the first book, are there lessons that you learned or changes that you intend to make on the second one?
Oh, good question. Yes, actually, that's a reinforcement of what I learned as a teacher. Put it in the colloquial terms, if you ain't organized, you ain't nothing. For the completion of the production of the first book, and that's a true milestone for me.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's the smallest of my books. That's the scary part. But my organization efforts have had to become more detailed and more detailed as I continue to record and catalog my actors and actresses. And my library of sound effects keeps expanding. I mean, it's going to blow out my studio walls eventually. But I write down meticulous. I have to keep track of everything, and then where I'm storing it. And it's like, oh, gee, where did I put that? Where did I put that? I can't do that anymore. I can't sit there and scratch my head. I've got to know where everything is. So go ahead.
What I was going to say is, folks, I want to reemphasize, it took over 7,000 hours of work to put the first book out. And Kurt is the producer, the director, the acting coach, the
technician,
writer, the technician, the Foley artist, and the mixer. So, I would not tackle that project myself, and I am very, very easily organized to do things. But that's the reason why I like the improv that I do, Kurt. I don't have to have, I have to have the thought and the idea organized in my mind. But when I go improv, it's easier because I'm just flowing off of experience rather than having to. What was the hardest thing that you found about organizing your system?
Well, because I've recorded on tape all of my actors, and then because I chucked it, it's like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. And tossed it out. It's like, oh man, I just threw out my entire catalog, my listing of where every actor had done their lines, what scenes, what book, etc. That was the first frustration. Don't throw out records, as it were, anything I've written down. And imagine organizing sound effects. Well, okay, someone walking down a hallway. Do you write it under someone, hallway, walking, what? And it's okay, it's feet dash corridor, no, feet dash booted dash corridor dash, what's the ambience? Is it echoey? Is it quiet, etc.? It can that's why I'm mostly bald. I pulled most of my hair out doing this.
Well, so now you said that you had recorded voice actors 20 years ago, and you lost your list of who was where.
Yeah, exactly. I must have had 30 tapes, and because I figured, once I published, I'm not going to worry about this anymore, and I just chucked out everything, sold all my equipment back then, and then all of a sudden, when my lovely lady says, you're going to do this, not would you like to, she said, you're going to do this. She knows what I do. I'm a performer. I'm a writer. I do these things, and I'm retired. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. I've got time. So now I have employed myself. I do 30 to 40 hours a week of this. I actually had to, okay, weekends, I got to stop. I just can't continue doing this. I have to take a break because I run myself hard. Ultimately, it's like, why am I doing this? I'm sure somebody will ask. Because I enjoy the final product. It's like when I write for myself. I am my own editor. If I don't like it, ain't nobody else going to see it until I get it fixed. Yeah. So ultimately, it's for me. And if I hear something, okay, that's not right, I'm going to go fix that. I can do that. I love it.
Nice.
It's like, you see a movie and it's like, oh, they didn't do that right. It's like, well, this is mine. I didn't do it right. I'm going to fix it.
Nice. Folks, I cannot emphasize enough to you how much I enjoy these. I like it because I can listen to it while I'm doing other things. I like it because I can listen to it when I'm just sitting and trying to relax. The presentation is phenomenal. Plans for continuation. We know that you're already started on the second book. And you're already starting to write the sixth book. So we hope you're going to continue doing this production for all the books, is what you intended, right?
Oh, yes. I ain't going anywhere. This is what I do. In fact, I finish up book 1 with an address to an audience explaining that this is what I do. Don't fret. It will continue to happen. I have got 5 books plus the 6th book is over halfway done. And these books are huge. They're 800 to 900 pages. Sorry, I have a lot to share.
Nice.
And that's what I do. So yeah, I'm delighted that I actually finished the first book. I was amazed. It's like I really did this. When you put a goal in front of yourself and actually do it. And then the nice part is with book 2, I have learned new techniques. I also have better equipment. And so it's actually cleaner and neater, at least from my perspective. As long as you're enjoying it, that's what counts. But I'm trying to make it so streamlined and so clean and so complex now.
Nice.
That's what's happening. My only frustration is when I'm using the software for storage and manipulation. I'm using old software, and yet engineers and software writers, I used to be one a long time ago, they're always improving things. Windows 8, Windows 9, there is no Windows 9, Windows 10, Windows 11. And then I have to have older PCs. I have like 3 notebook computers that have the older software, Windows XP and stuff, because I'm not about to go out and, okay, we have new software. Why should I have to learn that? That's like They change everything in your car when you get a new one. It's like, well, where's the steering wheel? We don't have those anymore.
Yep. Now, folks, if you really want to be a patron of the arts, there are a couple of different ways that you can help Kurt keep this production going and cut his costs on his end while giving you fantastic performances. Now, I know there is a buy you a coffee.
Yeah.
Do you have your link? If not, I can put it in here. But
yes, it's coffee. Oh, gracious. You ask a good question. Hang on a second. I will call it up right here. It is coffee.com/ hang on. The envelope, please. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, it's ko-fi.com/ the Hearken Theatre. Hearken spelled H-E-A-R. Here. The Hearken Theatre.
Yep.
And that's coffee. That's the only one I have, because Patreon, they keep a lot of money for themselves, but coffee.com, whatever is donated, it comes to the productions. It doesn't go to anybody else.
So, folks, if you enjoy these, or even if you just want to contribute to a really good artist and producer, remember, he's doing these all on his own. So it's ko-fi.com, KOFI.com, and it will be the Hearken, H-E-A-R, Hearken Theatre. If you go to his website, which we're going to get to now.
Yeah, the hearkentheatre.com. Simple as that. Theater, by the way, is Theatre. I prefer that spelling. Thank you very much. But the hearkentheatre.com, put that in, simple. It'll all come up.
And you can always find his Ko-Fi link at the .com. So it's the hearkentheatre.com. It's a Bridge of Doom. First book is finished. The second book is started. And folks, $5 is $5, $10 is $10, $20 is $20. It all adds up to offsetting the expenses for the production. I like to support artists because they're the ones that usually need it. Folks, I see so many people donating to these huge, big internet personalities and these big organized groups that you find online. It's the artists that keep us entertained. It's the real producers that keep us entertained. It's the performers that keep us entertained. If you have $5 to spare, send it to one of the performers. That way, you're getting good quality entertainment. Kurt, I have had a blast. I am glad to have you on a second time. Anything that you want to share with folks that I haven't already asked you that you think would be unique to your series of books or to your production?
It would be hard to say. It all feels unique some days, and other days, I don't know. Now, on the coffee.com, I'll even take $1. Give me $1. And if you give me your name, I'll mention it in final credits. Love that. But Other than that, no. We've it's been fun talking with you about all this.
Well, I have a very, very unique thing that I wanted to bring up, and I told you I was going to do it. The dragons in this series are like really old school intuitive dragons. Could you drop a little hint about maybe the king and the queen?
Well, yeah, they do exist. You have a king of dragons and a queen of dragons, and occasionally the more intelligent of their subject, the dragons, they can take human form. This is in order to interact with humans. Simple as
Hmm.
that. So, sometimes you never know if you're dealing with a human or a dragon in human form. Simple as
Yeah.
that. And the king and the queen are having a large disagreement. So you've got
Yes.
some dragons that are on the side of the king, who's working to protect the dragon's purpose is to protect the world, keep things
Hmm.
in balance. And the queen, she would like to wipe out a few things because she takes insults very personally. Thank you very much. And
Yes.
I don't like you, blast you away. So, bit of a problem there. But yeah,
Yeah,
old
they
school
seem to be
dragons, because
having
where do dragons come from? Old school.
exactly, folks. They seem to be having a squabble between the two of them that has gotten a little out of hand. Is
Just a
that is
little,
that is
just
that
a little.
isn't that the ultimate understatement?
Would say so, yes.
Folks, this is Kurt Hoteling. The books are A Bridge of Doom. You can find them at Amazon. Do you sell them directly anymore?
Yeah, yeah. If somebody wants a book from me, it's a heck of a lot cheaper, and I just
There
ship
you
it to you,
go. There you
complete
go.
with necessary glossary and a full color map, and
Nice. So
autographed as well. Of course, I'm so
so
famous, I can't
folks,
stand
you can
myself.
buy direct from Kurt and get it. You can get it signed. You can get it from Amazon. Like I said, it's A Bridge of Doom. It is Kurt Hoteling. And if you really, really want to dig on some awesome theatrical audiobooks, it's A Bridge of Doom at hearkentheatre.com. And don't forget to buy him a coffee if you can. Kurt, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Raven. This has been a blast.